What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka New York Prepper. In this video, I'm going to be testing some big bore handgun cartridges, and I'm going to be shooting them at some 1-gallon water bottles. And the goal of the test is just to see the difference in power between some of these popular big bore handgun cartridges. So we're going to be shooting some hollow points, and the cartridges I'm going to be shooting are the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, the 44 Magnum, and the 10mm auto. Now, the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum is considered to be the most powerful production handgun cartridge in the world. The 44 Magnum was once the most powerful production handgun cartridge in the world, but it was eclipsed by the 454 Casull and then eventually the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. And then the 10mm auto is a popular big bore semi-automatic cartridge that has recently rose to popularity amongst people who want to carry semi-automatics in bear country, and it has done a pretty good job at stopping some bear attacks, and it is considered to be the bare minimum for bear defense. So I think it'll be interesting to see the difference in power between these three popular cartridges. And for the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, I'm going to be shooting some Hornady flex tip ammunition. These are 300 grain bullets traveling at 2,075 feet per second and a muzzle energy of 2,868 foot-pounds. That's almost 2,900 foot-pounds of muzzle energy from a handgun. That is just absolutely insane. That's basically the same amount of energy as a 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch 1 ounce slug, but coming out of a handgun. So that's a lot of power. And for the 44 Magnum, I'm going to be using some Hornady 225 grain flex tip ammunition, which has an advertised velocity of 1,410 feet per second. And out of my snub nose 2 5/8 inch barrel 44 Magnum revolver, I'm going to be probably getting around 1,250 feet per second with these loads. And finally, for the 10mm auto, I'm going to be using some Underwood ammo, 200 grain jacketed hollow point with an advertised velocity of 1,250 feet per second. And the firearms I'm going to be using for this test is my Smith & Wesson Model 500 with a 6.5 inch barrel, my Smith & Wesson Model 629 Performance Center 44 Magnum with a 2 5/8 inch barrel, and my Rock Island Armory TAC Ultra 1911 high capacity double stack 10mm. So I'm going to be shooting at these water bottles at a distance of about 5 yards. And I'm going to compare the splash generated by all these cartridges, and we're going to see the difference in power between them. So I hope you enjoy the video and learn something, and thanks for watching. All right, guys, so now we're going to hit the water bottles. First up is going to be the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum with some Hornady 300 grain flex tips with an advertised velocity of 2,075 feet per second. Let's see what happens here. All right, guys, so now we're going to hit the water with the 44 Magnum, my Smith & Wesson Model 629 Performance Center with the 2 5/8" barrel. We're going to use some Hornady 225 grain flex tips with an advertised velocity of 1,410 feet per second. All right, guys, so now we're going to hit the water with the 10 millimeter. This is the Underwood ammo 200 grain jacketed hollow point with an advertised velocity of 1,250 feet per second. We're going to be using my Rock Island 1911. All right, guys, here's what's left of our water bottles. Completely destroyed. This was the one hit by the 500 Magnum 300 grain flex tip. There's the entrance hole right there. Look at that. That is just insane. And it just completely blew out the back. This was traveling at 2,075 feet per second. And then here's our 10 millimeter and 44 Magnum. Can't tell which one is which, but also just split this whole bottle right in half. Look at that. That is just insane, guys. Look at that. The pressure of the water just blew apart the whole thing. This one actually blew its top off. Look at that. It's pretty crazy. Impressive. So there you guys have it. The 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum versus 44 Magnum versus 10 millimeter auto. I hope that this test showed you the difference in power between these cartridges. But one thing you might have noticed in this video is that the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum is just in a completely different league than the 44 Magnum and the 10 millimeter. You could clearly see that the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum 300 grain flex tip traveling at 2,075 feet per second, generating 2,900 foot-pounds of energy. That's as much as a 3006 or even a 270 with moderate to hot loads. Just completely annihilated that 1 gallon water bottle, and it looked like a grenade went off next to that 1 gallon water bottle. Now, the 44 Magnum and 10 millimeter also had a very prominent effect on the water bottle, but you could clearly notice the difference in how much the water splashed and sprayed out in all directions from the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Now, the 44 Magnum, if you look closely at the videos, you could clearly see it had slightly more of an effect on the water than the 10 millimeter. I would say maybe 20% more. Now, the 44 Magnum loads that I was using in this test are not the most powerful 44 Magnum loads that I have, or the most powerful 44 Magnum loads available. There are more powerful loads out there, but this is what I happen to have right now for this test. And I know that these 225 grain flex tips expand well, so I figured it would work out good against the water bottle. But the loads that I used in the 44 Magnum are basically just moderate power loads. And I bet if I repeated this test with some higher power loads, and maybe if I had a revolver that had a longer barrel, you would have seen a much more prominent effect on the water. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this test. Let me know if there's any other tests you want me to do. If you have any ideas for me, put it in the comments. And as always, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.